This is Seeking Catharsis, a real victim's chronicles of covert narcissistic abuse. Today I want to talk to you guys about marriage. I've been married for a year and a half to my longtime partner. We dated for 5 years. Were official for 4.5 years before we got married. And prior to our marriage, we talked a lot about our goals and dreams and expectations and marriage, family, life. And in all those conversations, I never once heard my partner say he didn't believe in monogamy or marriage, or that he didn't want any children. Fast forward, first year of marriage, I've learned within a week of my marriage that my husband was unfaithful for years and was currently unfaithful and desired to live a polyamorous life. I had also had 3 years of a non-sexual relationship with my partner. He had no sexual desire for me. He didn't tell me that at the time. He spoke more to what he was feeling about his self-image, his body image, about his stress levels, and I respected that as a boundary to not pursue any sexual intimacy with him, and I was fine with that because I'm not very sexual myself. So we've been doing this for a year and a half. I left our home 7 months into our marriage due to the extreme emotional, psychological abuse I was enduring in our household. My husband was actively dating someone else, not giving me any affection, care, or attention, and he was giving that to someone else, while also claiming that he didn't want me in the space. But every time I tried to leave, he would ask me to stay and promise to change. I felt like a human yo-yo. When I finally got the strength to leave, I moved across the country to a city I'd never lived in, where I had no friends or family. I had nothing here but a home that was furnished, that had all the basic amenities that I needed to heal. I still work with my husband, so I wasn't completely broken away. I still loved him, but I was extremely hurt by what he had put me through. I had been love-starved, deprived of affection, attention, compliments. I'd been deceived, cheated on, humiliated, lied to. I had a rough year. And all this was happening in the middle of a pandemic. So as time goes on, about a month after our anniversary, my husband asked me if I would be willing to come back. I knew he was seeing someone, and I knew that I was alone in a place where I had no one, and was still very isolated emotionally, not only physically, but just in this state of disbelief and trauma of losing my best friend and my partner, and finding out the person I loved and spent so much time with was no one I would have been with had I known who he was. So when December came, specifically Christmas Day, Christmas evening, my husband asked me if I would be willing to move back with him, or move back to where we were. He didn't necessarily say move back with him. He wanted to have his cake and eat it too. That he made very clear. But he wanted me closer to him. He said where I was didn't make sense, and he wanted me closer. He wanted the same situation, but he wanted me closer. I didn't understand what he meant by that. But I did let him know that my return to our home city where we used to live would be predicated on sharing a home that had more respect and safety than the one I had left. That was a prerequisite of mine. I was simply unwilling to go back to the status quo. So we've been talking since then. That conversation took place about 6 months ago. And from that point on, we were working pretty diligently on figuring out an action plan to reconcile and to start to heal the damage to the relationship. Most of that work fell in my husband's court. He had been the one that had stepped out, disrespected, betrayed, done many things that were incredibly harmful to our relationship and to me. So I put it on him to do some of that work. But the reality was, I was extremely lonely and sad and isolated where I am right now. And so I wanted desperately to return back because I didn't see a way out. It was still post-pandemic. I didn't see myself living here, and I couldn't see a future anywhere else because my brain, my mind wouldn't allow me to see past a month. I was literally living day by day. I was surviving my experience in this extreme isolation day by day because that was the only way I could get through my days. Eventually, I decided to travel a bit. I had some tickets that I had to put on hold during the beginning of the pandemic that were about to expire, and I had a relative who had a home outside of the country and wanted to have a weekend there, so I flew out there and spent some time there. And then I had a couple of friends that were doing the pandemic year abroad, and I went and joined a couple of them in their respective countries. It was nice to see my friends. It was nice to be around people I loved, but I had this emptiness inside, this sadness that wouldn't go away. It didn't matter how beautiful my surroundings were, how warm the weather was. I could not enjoy the moment because all I wanted was my husband. All I wanted was my best friend and my husband there with me, because those are the trips you take with someone you love. And I had been so rejected since we got married. My husband took his mistress on a trip a week into our marriage. He took her to France the week of our birthdays. He hadn't taken me anywhere since we married. And then when he ended the relationship with the mistress, he started dating another woman, and they went on several trips together. He would say to me, if you were closer, I would date you. And it was so tempting because while I was away trying to heal, my husband was falling in love with other people. And that's what he does, apparently. He falls in love with everyone else but me. He loves me, but he says he's not in love with me. I try not to take that to heart because I've done so much research on narcissism. I'm the one that gets abused. I shouldn't take it personally, but I do. I know it's not personal. I know it's not me that he's targeting. It's my position in his life. It's the intimate partner the closest person to him, the person that spends the most time with him, that gets neglected and mistreated the worst. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel good that I've been rejected, that I've been desexualized, dehumanized, and set aside for the shinier, brighter, newer toy relationship person. And that I get the brunt of the flat, monotone responses and the frustration and the agitation. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel horrible inside. Yet, all I want is to be back around him and to be treated better. That's all I want. And that's so sad, because this person that hurt me should be the last person I want to be with. He should be the last person I care about because of all the awful things he did to me. It's so illogical to think that I could feel warm feelings towards someone who has harmed me so badly. I think about how he left me a week into our marriage to travel with someone else. I think about how he was so apathetic to my feelings, to my heartbreak, to my confusion, and how he refused to let me go when I threw my hands up and said, you know what? If you're not happy in this relationship, I'm okay with letting go. And a year and a half in, he has never let me go. I'm hooked on hope. And he has not given me any reason to believe that he's going to change, that it's going to get better. But something inside is there asking, maybe if you could just hold on a little bit longer, if you can get back there. If you can show him you forgive him, if you can show him that we can get through this, you'll get what you need back. I have never felt like this in my whole life. I feel lost. I feel empty. I feel neglected. I don't have any joy in my life. How he treats me is how I feel every day. This is no way to live. I wouldn't want anybody I love to live like this. I wouldn't want anybody I love to go back to that. And I know I deserve better. I just don't know how to get there right now. This person has broken me down so much that I don't even recognize myself anymore. I'm starting to believe I don't deserve love and that I'll never get it because I've never had it. And so I'm starting to convince myself that since I won't have it anyway, why not stay somewhere that feels safe? Why not be with the devil that you know and have the safety of a marriage and a job and just deal with it? That's how broken I am now. I know it. I feel